If you need to build a lead list for cold emailing that is cheap, reliable, and full of validated emails, then watch this video. Essentially, there are a couple ways you could do it. You could do it the manual way, which you can literally one by one look up people's emails by Googling and finding information publicly available. You could go through a database. This is a paid option, but the database, they often do the work of scrubbing the emails, making sure it's good, clean, categorizing them so you can filter based on the information that is associated with that email, like the person's job title, what company they work for, industry they're in. Or you can build a bot to scrape it yourself. Now that requires a little bit more expertise on how to set up the scraper, but there are automated tools that can do that. Now, if you are new to cold emailing, it is my recommendation that you start with the database. If you wanted to reach out to 1,000 people per day, it means that you need 1,000 validated emails, which means you need to probably manually compile close to 2,000 of them. So think about the time that it would take for you to search Google and compile a list of 1,000 emails a day. That would be insane. Obviously, that's the reason the scrapers exist, because people realize they want to reach out to more volume, but they don't want to scrape those emails manually. So they build a bot. If you're a beginner, you having to go learn how to set up a scraper and set up a bot to actually find your target audience. You don't even know how your target audience is going to react to your offer, which sequences work, which ones do not. And so to build a scraper from scratch is a lot of pain, time investment, and obviously cost. To get you up and running quickly, we highly recommend you go through the database option at first. Now, the downside of the database option is obviously this list is a little bit more fatigued, because if everybody can pay to easily access the database, cold emailers have probably reached out to some of these emails before, but we've still seen good results with them. And it's all about how we position our offer. But irrespective of whichever option you choose, you still need to clean your list. And when I say clean your list, what I mean is you need to use a software or a tool that checks for certain things. The first one you're going to check for is emails that bounce, because the moment an email bounces, then it hurts your sender reputation. So if you get a bounce, essentially, you're telling the email service providers like Google or Outlook, you don't actually know the real email address of this person that you're emailing. They see the bounce rate on your email sends and they look at that and they monitor that. And if you get a lot of them, obviously they're going to tag you as a spammer. And the moment they tag you as a spammer, guess where your emails land? In spam, where nobody sees them. And it's very hard to overcome that reputation. That inbox is pretty much dead after you get tagged as a spammer. There are other emails called catch-all emails. Say, for example, a company, they wanted to catch emails that had misspellings in them. So if you mistype my name and you spelt it with a Nicolas instead of Nicholas, there are companies that set up these catch-all inboxes. Now, these catch-all inboxes, they have stricter spam filters, right? Because they're going to look at if somebody's just blasting different variations or if the offer is not relevant. Honestly, sometimes the emails just bounce, but you don't want to be sending to catch-alls. You want to be finding the person's actual email. So you want to cross these out of your list. Now, sometimes bounces happen because people change jobs, but the database doesn't know that they changed jobs. The database is pulling their email for, say, when they worked at Facebook, but maybe now they work at Google. And so like you try to email them at Facebook email, it's just not going to work anymore. The other type of emails that you see are spam traps. And this is where email service providers are literally trying to find people who are spamming. Obviously, you're not a spammer, but if you start to cold email people and it's not relevant to them and you're doing it poorly, then you are basically behaving like a spammer. And so the way to get around that is to actually have a good offer, one that can help people, and then to clean your list so that you're not emailing to email addresses that are spam traps. Because the moment this happens, they're going to flag you. And the moment they flag you, you hurt your sender reputation, which lands you basically in the spam folder. So you need to clean your list to get rid of these spam traps. And disposable emails are basically like temporary emails that people use. You don't want to be emailing that because that's going to hurt your reply rate. At the end of the day, what's the best thing you can get on an email? It's for it to get delivered and then replied. So when you get replies, you are triggering all the positive signs on the email service provider. It's like, wow, this is a really good email inbox. Like they reply a lot. They get a lot of replies for the emails that they send. Must be a really legitimate sender. And so that's what you're aiming for. So in order to like reduce the amount of reds that you have, you actually have to clean the list so that more of them get delivered and not bounce, and then have a chance that more of them reply that they're interested. Now, obviously, you're still going to get people who are like reporting you as spam no matter what, but that's just the name of the game. And by cleaning your list, you're able to improve your odds, which ultimately makes the lifespan of your inbox longer. Okay, so now let's talk about how we are going to do this. So let me demo it for you. The tool that we use, if you go back to the checklist and you scroll down to lead list, we use Apollo. Okay, so this is what Apollo looks like on the inside. As you can see, for this particular client, we were targeting business owners in English-speaking countries with under 50 employees. But let's build a lead list from scratch so I can show you guys exactly how you would do this if you wanted to target people for our offer. And just a reminder for everyone, if this is the first video you're watching, we are doing a series where we are building an offer to help install an in-house shorts automated system that makes business owners never have to record shorts again. And we're doing that for a one-time price of $3,000 for business owners. So the way in which we're going to build a lead list is obviously we need business owners. First thing I'm going to do is go to persona and click add persona. And I'm going to just put in business owners. Now, obviously that means that in the title, what I'm looking for in their job title is owner. Now, I might also be okay with founder, CEO, and I like co-founder as well. Now, I like manager, director a little less. Typically, directors are for like bigger companies and they may not be interested in creating content because they have a whole marketing arm. I'm going to stop it there at owner, founder, CEO, and co-founder. Now, you can see from there, it's generated 5 million records. That's way more than we need. If you recall, when we were doing our cold email setup, we only needed about 32,000 records, right? So we got to trim it down a little bit. Let's go a little industry specific. Let's say we wanted to target people in computer software, right? So that gets my list down to 69,000 people. Okay, so that's a good place to start. Let's save that persona. And so now that I have that persona, what I'm going to do now is apply some additional filters. So typically I only want to target people who are smaller business. So like under 50 people. So I'll go ahead and select those. And that gets my list down to 39,000. Maybe I also only want to target the United States, Canada, United Kingdom, Australia, and we can leave it there for now. So we have 16,000 people. That might be a little too small. So you can see I need 32,000. So that's where you come back and you play around with this. Maybe increase the size, like if you go up a notch, but then you can see how many records would be unlocked if you do that. The other thing you can do is under persona, maybe you can go click back here and edit. And instead of putting computer software as the industry, you can then target based on keywords. So for example, software. And I found that usually results in more records. Anybody who's doing a business in relation to software will be in here. Let's also see if we can type in tech. So that increases the lead pool a little bit. Doesn't increase it that much, but then we save. And so we come back to our list. We might need to refresh this actually. So update it. So you see now it's 188,000 people. So this is where I like to then pare it down even more, because Apollo actually gives you two options here that I think are pretty cool. Number one, they go through and they try to verify everything. Now we're still going to clean the list after we click this button. It's like a double cleaning almost, right? So you want to click that to make sure that you're like, okay, if Apollo ran their verifications, then I want to only look at the emails that they think are verified. Then the other one that I like to click is likely to engage. Now this is because Apollo is also a sender. So what they do is they have data on people who have replied in the past across their database, and they're able to see the likelihood of somebody replying to you. You kind of want to use that data to see like, okay, if this person is constantly replying and has a high likelihood of replying, then me emailing them will help my sender score. You want to target those kinds of people. Now, for the purposes of this audience, I still have a lot more than I need. I'm going to go ahead and get this down all the way to just businesses under 20 employees. And then I might also get rid of Australia, get rid of United Kingdom. Okay, so now I'm down to 70. You can try to pare this down more, but this is good enough. Now, the important thing that you need to know is you need to then grab this link right here. This is like your search link. This is the link that you're going to now use to actually pull the lead list. But before I show you, let me show you, like, I don't even use Apollo to download the data. Now, let me show you why. If we wanted to extract 30,000 leads, as you can see, they're going to want to charge me an arm and a leg. This is just for 24K, and that's per year. So if we wanted to do it on a monthly basis, let's go to monthly, and we wanted to get 30,000 leads. So the 2K plus 25K per month. So we'd have to go up to the 50K a month tier because they don't let you do in between. That will cost you $2,000 just to export these leads, which is insane. You don't want to be paying that. There's a couple places that I typically go to get my leads exported. The way that this works is that these companies have enterprise plans with Apollo. So they're on the organization level. And so they pretty much have unlimited credits. So for that, they then offer a service where they'll export your leads for you basically for 15% of the cost. This is where you go. There's a company called findylead.com. I've used them before. They work, but they're a little bit more, you can tell they're a small company. They're like fairly new to this service. I'm not necessarily over endorsing them here. I just want to show you, you type in your Apollo URL here. You'll tell them how many leads you want to extract. So let's say we want to extract 30,000. You can see that'll cost you only $89. Now they also have the ability to clean the list for you. So if I put here extract, they'll also run it through a verifier. Again, if you go back to our little drawing here, that basically means that they're doing this step to clean the list right here. And so Million Verifier is a software tool that checks for that. As you're exporting, you can also pay right away to get that list cleaned, which I would recommend, because you don't want to have to then do another step after you get the leads. Because again, the whole point in the beginning is to get you up and running. This is one where you could do it for $150 as opposed to Apollo's $2,000. And then the other one is Trusted Leads. I'll try to put all of these in the document for you. So these guys, you can click buy verified emails. I like them because you can pretty much type in how many you want. So for example, let's say we want 35,000. You paste in your Apollo link and we want them to verify it for us. You can see here, they're going to charge a little bit more, $245. But from my experience, these guys are a little more professional. It looks like they have a tighter system. They're more established. They do this regularly. So that was just my experience working with them. I've worked with both of these services. I had a better experience over here at Trusted Leads. And then there's a service I haven't tried. It's called goldenleads.io. And they promise to do the same thing. So again, I'll link this, but I haven't personally tried these guys. Same thing. You give them the LinkedIn, or sorry, the Apollo data, and they'll scrape it. They promise to do a little bit more than normal to make sure that the leads are good. But again, I've never used them. It's a little bit more than Findy, but a little bit less than Trusted Leads, somewhere in between. All right, so that's how you would build your lead list in Apollo. You would then copy the link. You would go to one of these sources and then you would have them export the list for you. It'll take maybe 24 to 48 hours for them to send it to you. They actually send it to me on the weekends. I think Trusted Leads the same thing. It was, even though they promised 24 hours, well, they got it to me really quick. And I rushed the order, which by the way, you can do if you're like in a rush. I rushed the order and they got it to me, I believe, on a weekend. So it's either you do that or you pay Apollo $2,000, so pick cost that you want to do. Now, let's say that you wanted to clean your list yourself. There's a couple options. Million Verifier is the main one that people use, and I've used them before. They're fine, but they're not the main source that I use. And I'll tell you why in a second. Yeah, I've done a list here before where you can see I did like a little sample list. At the end of the day, what they do is they tell you, okay, these emails are good. These ones are a little risky. Sometimes it bounces. And then these are like bounce. So they're bad emails. Don't send them. If you're trying to verify your emails, Million Verifier, I ran this exact same list through another source called Zero Bounce. I'll show you the results of that one. Okay, so let's go to validate real quick. And I think that same founder list, here we go. You can see this founder list said, actually, no, Million Verifier. We are only considering 49 emails valid. The rest are 30 are invalid. 29 of them are catch-all inboxes, which you want to avoid. 33 of them are on a do not mail list, which, by the way, you will get fines if you email people in a do not mail list. Okay. So like, don't put yourself in that situation. And so that's why I trust Zero Bounce a little bit more. They are a little bit more expensive to use. Million Verifier is cheaper, but from my perspective, I'd rather be on the safer side when sending these cold emails because, again, it depends on where you're getting your leads from. If you're getting your leads from Apollo, like you can see that these lists here where I got 70% valid, 68% valid, 82% valid, these lists were all from Apollo. But then this list was from my scraper. This scraper here, it was like pulling emails from the internet and just compiling them for me. Most of the times it's like not validated. So the benefit of using the database is that you don't have to think too much about it. You know that they've already ran a few validations and then you run it through here. It'll just catch the bounces and the catch-all, and then you move on. This is a little bit more high level, but in case you guys want to do this, I would highly recommend zero bounce. So I'll put a link to zero bounce as well here so that you guys have it going forward. Now, in the next step, I'll show you how to set up your website for your domains, because there's a way to set it up where if you redirect all your websites to one link, you will then be triggered for spam. If you want to figure out how to solve that problem, then watch the next video.